There is a 70.8% chance that you're watching this on an iPhone or Samsung device. But why does this matter? Because I absolutely hate companies like Apple and Samsung ripping consumers off like you. Well, I don't hate them, more like slightly despise them, since they purposely implement anti-repair strategies for their own benefit at the cost of consumer and environment. Here's why. But before we can get into the details, first I need to address why not repairing your devices is a problem. Not repairing broken devices can cause them to be thrown out prematurely. If someone bought a device as refurbished, a device that was once broken, and then it was repaired, it would remove the e-waste of a new phone. Let's explain this more thoroughly. Take this iPhone 11 as an example. John bought this phone on day one, but unfortunately, 2 years after he bought it, John's screen broke. Instead of throwing out this device, John decided to sell it on eBay. Third-party repairmen would then buy John's iPhone 11 and repair it. Then they can sell it on second-hand phone markets like Back Market. Luckily for us here, Timmy here is looking for an iPhone 11. Instead of buying a new iPhone 11 from Apple, Timmy decides to buy one from Back Market, removing the e-waste of a new iPhone. Not only does repairability provide jobs, it also reduces e-waste. If not properly recycled, then e-waste can cause major environmental problems because it contains dangerous chemicals such as mercury, lead, and germanium, which can leak into the soil, groundwater, or air, causing harm. E-waste also contains many useful materials such as gold and silver, which become wasted if not recycled. Apple is one of the largest tech companies with a $2 million valuation, but they still prioritize their greed over our environment.
But I heard in ads like this.
To make every single Apple product carbon neutral by 2030. Even yours.
So clearly you must be wrong about Apple not caring for our environment.
They say they promote caring for the environment, but their devices clearly say otherwise. Apple will likely hit these goals, which is great for our environment, but that doesn't change the fact that they are purposely putting these roadblocks to deter repairs. Several examples of these anti-repair strategies are perfectly explained by Hugh Jeffries, YouTuber with over 900,000 subscribers and who's been repairing devices for 12 years.
If Apple is supporting right to repair bills, I should have the right to be able to work on my iPhone 15 now, right? Apparently not. Like previous models, cameras are one of the most affected. With a replacement front camera, you can say goodbye to selfies as the camera fails to load. Of course, we also have the usual array of errors and problems, including battery health being disabled, True Tone color adjustment has vanished, auto brightness ceases to function, and Face ID is not available. The only way to avoid these issues is to pay Apple for repair, as only they have access to the software that makes iOS accept the new part.
Examples of Apple's anti-repair strategies include replacing the common Torx screw with a pentalobe screw, which is similar enough to cause unknowing repairmen to strip this screw, making the owner lose access to the internals of the device. Additionally, Apple has removed the ability to downgrade to previous iOS versions, resulting in many older iPhones to become useless. They have also paired the home button to individual devices, making foreign home button replacements useless. Furthermore, the screen is paired to each device, causing a phone with a screen replacement to lose True Tone, a key feature. These are just a few examples of the numerous strategies that Apple uses to deter third-party repairs. Apple claims to promote repairability, which products say differently. Apple can remove these features within a couple of days, but they still market these as security features, which they are not. The only way to bypass such feature losses is to send your device to Apple, who are the only people who can configure such repaired devices. This costs just as much as getting a new phone. Apple uses anti-repair features in its devices to increase its profits margins at the cost of our environment. Unfortunately, Apple is not the only smartphone manufacturer guilty of anti-repair tactics. Samsung implements anti-repair strategies similar to Apple, making it needlessly difficult to replace parts susceptible to failure, such as batteries and screens. Although this is not as extreme as Apple's strategies, this clearly shows that Apple isn't the only major phone company that deters repair. On July 3rd, Samsung launched a lawsuit against a third-party screen maker, in which Blackwood explained this lawsuit as, "This litigation stems from Samsung discovering that OLED panels manufactured by Chinese companies, including BOE, were being used as replacements for original Samsung screens in iPhone 12 devices at independent repair shops in the US. If you did not already No, some of Apple's screens are purchased by Samsung, and Samsung doesn't offer a way for repairmen to buy third-party screens. Apple clearly does not want third-party companies offering a way either. Another example of Samsung being anti-repair and anti-consumer is when they disabled every illegal Samsung device in Mexico. These devices were not illegal, but were gray market phones. What are gray market phones, you ask? They are phones bought on Amazon or AliExpress, originally meant for a different region, usually China. These phones were working completely fine in Mexico until Samsung decided to disable cellular function and put a lock on these region-locked phones, displaying a message such as, "Your device does not comply with Mexican regulations, so it will be disabled as of October 11, 2023. These devices were working flawlessly beforehand, but now they were rendered useless. You would think that the Mexican government must have forced Samsung to do this, but no. Shaikh said, the Mexican government has requested smartphone brands, including Samsung, not to block smartphones imported illegally and sold through the country's gray markets. Samsung has responded that it will end the blocking of such smartphones and work with the government agencies for a solution. Luckily, the right to repair was created to force large tech companies like Apple to allow us to repair our own devices. Just in October, Apple backed key legislation that would make them have to provide tools, parts, and documentation at a reasonable price. However, this law only has been passed in a few states such as California, New York, and Massachusetts, and unfortunately, the law passed in New York already has clear loopholes that benefits the original manufacturer. Some people may argue that providing documentation, parts, and tools for third-party repairmen would cause companies like Apple and Samsung to lose their intellectual property. Additionally, others argue that this may cause cheap knockoffs to be released onto the market, which would tarnish these companies' credibility. They also say that providing necessary documentation, parts, and tools to untrained repairmen results in dangerous and faulty repairs being introduced to consumers as their own, when in reality they are not. However, this is not the case, as these documents already get leaked. Releasing this documentation would not put these companies' intellectual secrets in jeopardy, as it would only be useful to individuals trying to repair their devices. It would not be beneficial to those attempting to duplicate their products. And if it does harm them in any way, the damage would be insignificant compared to the harm both of these companies are already doing by withholding this documentation. Companies like Apple and Samsung are making momentous steps in the right direction. However, it does not target the core elements of their devices, which is their e-repairability. They implement features that directly lead to repairs, and although they promise to provide parts, it does not change this issue in their devices. Their lack of repairability in our devices is killing our environment. The right to repair movement has already forced lawmakers to create new laws to improve repairability and pressure companies like Apple and maybe eventually Samsung as well to back prominent laws to promote repairs, but this can still be improved upon. Our devices still have anti-repair strategies purposely implemented by technological companies to make repairs laborious to accomplish. People like you and me can force companies like Apple and Samsung and many others to make devices easily repairable by using our voices. Piloting this issue, sharing the need to repair devices on social media, and advocating for the right to repair, consumers can be the change that our environment needs.